Hello you guys, and welcome to another court reporting video and another video where I'm answering some of y'all's questions because I have not been very good at getting back. There's a lot of court reporting questions on my channel, so sorry if I don't get back to you. I'm going to try to get better at that because I do feel like there's not a lot of information out there about court reporting. But hopefully if you're watching this, you've seen my other videos. I do think it will be helpful to kind of go in order with when I posted the court reporting videos so that you maybe understand some of the questions if you're wanting to know more about court reporting. So I definitely suggest kind of starting from when I started posting these because yeah, they'll just make a lot more sense if you don't know a lot about it. But I'm going to be answering questions that you guys have left on some of my court reporting videos and keep them coming in this video because I feel like this is a good way for me to keep my court reporting content going, is just by answering questions. I would like to do other videos based on court reporting and mostly maybe like day in the lives or things like that, but also comment down below other videos that you want to see. Sometimes it's just hard for me to decide what you guys are wanting to see. A lot of the times parts can be boring because a lot of it is computer work, and I also can't film at depositions. So I don't know, sometimes it's hard for me to figure out what to film for court reporting since I've kind of already talked about what is court reporting, how we get paid, things like that. So again, if you haven't seen those videos, I've kind of answered all those things. I do get a lot of the same questions over and over, but I also get really good questions, which are going to be some of these that I'm answering. So let's just get into it because I have a lot of questions. I'll try to answer some of these rapid fire and some of them will need a little more context. So the first question that I have here, it says, can I use a MacBook M1 computer to do court reporting? I honestly don't know what an M1 is, but I personally do not use a MacBook Apple computer for court reporting because of the software that I have for court reporting. It is called Eclipse and it works a lot better with Windows and Microsoft. That's just what I've been told, so that's what I've used. I use an HP laptop and then I come home and work on a bigger HP desktop. I have shown my setup, I think, in a previous video, so if you guys want to see that, you can check that out. I will link that video here and you can look at a little bit more of my setup. But you can use a MacBook 100%. I know that there is a lot of court reporters that do, and they even may have different softwares but I know some of them do use Eclipse as well on MacBooks. I just think there's a little bit more, if you're really tech savvy, I feel like there may not be a big issue. It definitely can be done. So if you're a big like Apple girly, or man, if you love Apple products, you definitely can use them. I just know that, you know how Apple is with, they're very exclusive. So I think that can kind of be an issue, but it definitely can be done. Okay, the next question, it's kind of a statement, I guess, but it says video on interjecting, please. So if you don't know, interjecting during depositions can be very scary. That's one of the scariest parts of the job, especially when you're a newbie. You know, when to stop someone if they're talking too fast or if you couldn't hear what they said. And so I think a video on this would be helpful because there's a lot that can be said. But so let me know if you guys want that. And there was, I think, another question about this, but just I'll talk about it briefly really quick here. Basically, like I said, if someone's talking too fast or you can't understand them, you have to stop to make sure you heard correctly. And a lot of times it can be scary to do that because attorneys are in the middle of questioning people and sometimes it can get heated, and sometimes you can kind of tell if they're on a roll or if they're trying to get to a certain point and you don't want to stop. But you just have to remember, this is your name being signed at the bottom of the transcript. This is a verbatim record. We're pretty much supposed to be 100% accurate, even though we're human, so there's going to be human error, but that's kind of our job, which is why it's such a crazy important and really hard job, but also really cool. So you do need to interject, and over time you get a lot more comfortable with it. And just know that nothing's personal if someone gets mad that you've stopped a lot of times. And usually during the beginning of the deposition, if I can tell that the witness already has an accent or talks really fast, I will kind of remind them, you know, I'm writing down every word that you say, so please make sure you slow down for me. If it's a very technical deposition, like it's a doctor and I know we're about to get very medical heavy terminology, I will kind of say that at the beginning, like, hey, just know I don't know all these terms and I'm writing down what you're saying, so just be mindful of that. And sometimes that can kind of help from me having to stop so much. So that's just a quick little side note about interjecting. I can do a video about that if you guys want, because there's a lot to talk about there. Another question I have, it says, so if we take a state test then move to a new state, we have to take the state test for that state also. And then they said they currently live in Nevada, but they're moving to Texas or Georgia, so just wondering. Yes, there's a state exam and there's also a national exam, and most states require you to have the state exam. Like I took the Texas state exam and I can work in Texas, but I cannot go work somewhere else as far as I know. So like if I moved to Colorado, I would have to go take this Colorado state exam to be certified in that state to work. But there is a national exam that you can take that does work in most states, I think, as far as I know. But you can do a lot of research on the NCRA website, I think it is, and you can find out more there. That's the National Court Reporting Association. So if you are someone and you know you may be moving or you don't know what state you're going to work in, maybe really focus on the national test. And I would also do the state test you're currently in, because that can also help you prepare for the national test, because the national test is a little bit harder, I believe. So but some states also don't accept the national test. You have to take that particular state's exam. So just look into it. If you know you're going to move, I would definitely consider taking that national test. Another question says, would you say this is more like learning an instrument, example guitar chords, etc.? I definitely think that that is a good way to put it, I think, because it is like learning a new language. It's like coding, shorthand. So I feel like that's the best way to explain it. And the way that I would say it's like you're learning a new instrument is that you have to practice, or you will not get better when you're in school. Obviously, when you're learning it, you have to practice and put a lot of time and effort into it outside of just your schooling time. So that's what I would say is really like an instrument. But mostly I kind of compare it to learning like a new language or learning like a coding language, even though I know nothing about coding. But yeah, that's basically like learning a new language. Someone said, where did you buy your microphone and steno machine? I have linked my steno machine before. I will link it again down below. I think I got it just from Stenograph. I'm really bad at remembering things like that, so I will find it and link it down below. And I think I got my external microphone from there too. Like I said, I have done a video about my setup, so you guys can go watch that. But if you want to know more about setup and you want a whole video very dedicated to that, let me know. I'm not the most tech savvy person or focus really hard on the particular things that I have. Like I don't need the best, the most expensive, the brightest piece of equipment. If it works, if the audio is good for me, if it's reliable, I'm good to go. So I'm not super particular about that, but let me know if you want to know more. Someone said, how do you transcribe a conversation where a witness doesn't speak clearly, such as an NBA player who mumbles and doesn't use standard English? So this is a good question and kind of goes back to interjecting, but obviously you're going to walk into depositions and you have a lot of times no idea who the witness is or where they come from or the way that they speak. So it really just, that's part of the fun of our job, I guess, is we don't really know what we're walking into with freelance court reporting. So definitely I would talk to them beforehand, just, you know, saying, how was your day? You know, like, I don't know, kind of have a conversation with the witness so that you can kind of understand what they are going to sound like. And then, as I said previously, if you can tell they have an accent, or if you can tell that they mumble or they're very quiet or speak really fast, say something before the deposition starts. Like for an accent, that can be hard to tell someone without, you know, you don't want to be offensive obviously, but you can say something like, you know, you have a really beautiful accent, but it is a little bit hard to understand you and I have to get every word that you say. So if you don't mind speaking a little bit slower for me so that I can kind of try to learn the way your accent is or the cadence of your voice. So something like that, I feel like can really help at the beginning and hopefully help remind them. Most of the time, once you go on record and they're getting slammed with questions, if you've asked them to slow down, if you've asked them to speak more clearly, that's out the window. You have to do it again and again because they usually just don't remember and they're nervous usually. So yeah, you just never know what you're going to walk into, but we do not take obviously things that are in another language. A lot of times we have Spanish, well, we have different, here in Texas, most of the time I have Spanish interpreters if we do have an interpreter. So sometimes there will be someone who can speak English, but their first language is Spanish. So they prefer to have a Spanish interpreter, which really helps me out because even with a really hard Spanish accent, and if they don't know English super well, then obviously even the sentences that they are saying, you know, can be a little bit broken, but your transcript has to be broken as well. You cannot fix what they say, if that makes sense. So it really just is part of the job, but I usually try to say something ahead of time because that really helps. Someone asked, can you do a video about how to take care of yourself physically in this profession? I've heard it can be very strenuous on your neck, back, and even cause carpal tunnel. Have you dealt with these issues? So if you guys don't know, I went through a pretty severe finger accident recently, and I am just now kind of getting back into work, which I'm so thankful, because how bad it was, I didn't think I would really ever be able to be a court reporter again, but I am, so I'm very thankful for that. It definitely feels different, but just thankful I can work again. So I definitely think that this job can be hard on your hands and your back and your neck in particular, just like they were saying. So being very mindful of that is important. Working out to me is lucrative in this profession, because you're literally sitting in a chair all day, either on your computer when you're scoping or when you're actually writing on your machine. It's very tense, very kind of stressful. So I have a lot of tension back here. I really find that stretching helps. I always need to stretch more. I'm not that good at that, but I've recently got into Pilates, and I feel like that has helped just even my core and my just my posture, because a lot of times when we go into depositions, the chairs are not the best chairs, so you kind of have to sit up, and I like hunch a lot, and just your back hurts a lot, and your back's gonna hurt in this job, especially if you're doing freelance, because you're in a different place all the time, and so you don't get to pick your chair. So just combating that with exercise and stretching, that is really the best way to deal with it. With carpal tunnel, I don't know anyone personally who has really struggled with that. Like, my mom's a court reporter, she's been doing it for a long time. She doesn't struggle with that, so I think it definitely matters how your setup is with your machine. Your machine can tilt, that kind of helps with your wrists and stuff. So, but like I said, I had a severe hand injury and I'm doing okay. I don't know if that will cause issues with me in the future, but hopefully and thankfully it hasn't happened yet. Someone asked, my credit score is not great at this time, does that impact you getting a court reporting job? Not as far as I know, does not. I don't think they look at that. They don't care about that. Someone asked, I'm not sure if I saved it, but they asked about a background check, and yes, I think you have to have a background check. It's been so long since all that happened, but I know I had to get my my thumb printed, so you're in the system, so I think a background check comes with that, right? So yeah, you have to be pretty clean to be a court reporter. You have to have a pretty clean background, you have to have a thumbprint, but I don't know if they're like lenient on certain things. I'm not really sure, but I do know that like we're in the system now, so yeah. But I don't think they check credit score, but I always just advise trying to get better credit. I don't know, I just want to be positive about that. Have good credit, work on that. I think that's really important, and hopefully this job can help you have better credit as well because of the pay. So yeah, I don't think they care about your credit. Someone said, I'm 19 and from Arizona. I'm looking to get into court reporting, but I wonder what online programs are available. This is one of the questions that I get the most, is like, what program can I take? And someone's asking from a state I know nothing about, so it's really hard for me to answer these kind of questions. My best advice would be get plugged in with a court reporter where you are at. So either go up to the courthouse, get with someone there if you literally know no court reporters, but a lot of the times someone kind of knows someone's sister is a court reporter, someone's mom used to be a court reporter, and so just get hooked up with court reporters that you know, and they can help you with figuring out programs. But I think it's on the NCRA website. They also have a link to certain schools, but also look at your state court reporting association. They usually have a link of schools. It is hard for me to answer these questions about particular places because obviously I'm in Texas. I kind of just know Texas, so that would be my best advice. Here's another comment. Someone said, yes, please make a video on interjecting. I'm someone at court reporting school, and that would be so helpful. Also, I love your vids. Thank you for all the court reporting content. Sorry, I've been really bad at giving more, but hopefully this one helps quench your thirst. So thank you for the comment though. Yeah, I definitely think a video on interjecting would be helpful because I could drone on about that. And so if y'all have any particular questions about interjecting, like very specific, put that here and I will add that into a video. Otherwise I'll just talk about like how I interject and things like that. Someone said, I really like the bag, the link for it did not work, where can you get that bag? That was on one of my last court reporting videos. I tried to link my bag. I will link it again. It's the same place where I got my machine, so I'll try to link it again, but I think it's all from stenograph.com. This is kind of a long comment, but someone said, I'm looking into taking classes for digital court reporting and legal transcription, and I guess I'm just really confused because I thought all court reporters use those steno machines, but I guess digital court reporters don't. Please help. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right court reporting classes. Okay, in all transparency, I've had a lot of comments about the term digital court reporting. I have never heard that term other than when people have commented, and even when I've tried to look it up, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I can look into that again. I am not sure what digital court reporting is. Maybe that's like a new thing with AI, and I've had questions about AI and things like that. But there is different kinds of court reporters in the sense of, like, I am a machine court reporter, so I write on my stenograph machine. There's also voice court reporters. I think I have another question about that I'll talk about in a second. So those are kind of the two ones that I know. I'm not sure what digital court reporting is. I think that that's quite different, and also with legal transcription, I think that that is quite different as well. So court reporting is very specific, but with all this AI stuff happening and the court reporters having such a shortage, there has been other things that have popped up. So just be very mindful of that, but nothing will replace a human court reporter, whether they're a voice writer or a machine writer. I just think that that is the best way to go. I do not think our jobs are going anywhere anytime soon. AI is great, but as everyone knows, having a human is just way more important than a computer. They make mistakes, we make mistakes, but we can correct those mistakes at the time we are there, versus AI doesn't know that there's a mistake made until a human comes and finds that error, if that makes sense. So there's been places that have tried certain things that don't have a physical person there, but as far as I know, it has always had a bad outcome. Next question says, can you do a video about your experience in school? Which speed did you get stuck at? What were your hurdles? I desperately need encouragement. I am attending online school and I'm struggling at 120 to 130. Thank you. So yeah, this is different for everyone in school. I remember the girls that I was with, sometimes they struggled on certain speeds and sometimes they blew past me in other speeds. 180 was really hard for me. I don't necessarily know why. I was stuck in 180 for a long time, and I kind of thought I would fly through school because the other speeds I did fly through kind of, but 180, I was in there I think close to a year, which I know that sounds like crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was like 6 months, but that I was in there the longest. But the other speeds I kind of went through pretty fast. With that one, I don't know. I guess I just needed more time to work on that. But yeah, everyone kind of gets stuck at different speeds, but just know that you will get through it. Just keep working at it. But I would say 180 was my biggest hurdle. After that, 200 and 225 was kind of back to my normal speed of advancement. But I really don't know why 180. Maybe because that's the literary for Texas. I don't know if it's different for other states, but we had a literary, a jury charge, and a Q&A for the state test. The literary was at 180, jury charge at 200, and Q&A at 225. And the literary was always the hardest for me because I liked Q&A. I liked the choppiness of it. For some reason, I could keep up with that. And then with jury charge, there's a ton of briefs. So literary was always the hardest for me, even though it was the slowest. But yeah, that's just my writing style, I guess. I struggled with literary more. Some people struggle with the Q&A and the back and forth really fast. I kind of liked that and was better at that. So it really just depends on your writing style, but just keep going because you will get through it. I was in there, I'm pretty sure, almost a year, and I still got out of school in about 2 years from beginning to end. I don't know exactly what it was. I think it was around that though. Someone said, hi Chloe, you commented on taking a state exam to receive a state certification versus a national certification. How would you get nationally certified? So I kind of already talked about that, but go on the NCRA website and you will find more out there. I will link that down below. What is the different firms / companies that could be used besides Veritex? So I think a lot of people won't know what Veritex is, but it's just a really big freelance court reporting firm, kind of like a networking firm that there's been horror stories with, but also I feel like I know people who work for them and everything's fine. I've never personally worked for them. What is the different firms, companies that can be used? So it really depends on your area, but there is bigger network firms that probably a lot of reporters have heard of, and then there's also smaller court reporting firms. So it really just depends on kind of what you want, the amount of work that you want, and word of mouth. That's kind of how you find out about the court reporting firms around you. So really ask court reporters, really, when you get started in this, if you can find a in-person mentor. I just really would suggest that. I know that can be hard if you know no one who's a court reporter, but that is my biggest advice because they kind of help you with the side that school can't. School kind of teaches you the school kind of stuff, but then the real world stuff is hard to know if you don't have someone. I was so blessed to have my mom as a court reporter, which is the easiest way. So I never really struggled with it too much, so I'm not the biggest help there, but my suggestion would be to find a mentor. And every single court reporter I know is so willing to help newbie court reporters because we need more. We're very passionate about it, and it's such a cool job. So people are definitely willing to help. You just gotta find them. So yeah, it just depends on the different firms around you, kind of depends on how you want to work, but there's plenty of them out there, and there's even some that maybe aren't near you. Like if you live in a really small town, maybe the biggest town next to you, they will ship out. Usually they'll have clients like around you, so it's definitely out there. Or now that a lot of depots are Zoom, you can kind of take usually anything in your state, so kind of just depends on what you want. Someone said, what are your thoughts on voice recording or digital recording versus steno? Are they both in as much demand or not as much as steno? I'm looking at steno as a second career, but concerned with the time it will take to get through schooling. So like I said, I got through schooling in 2 years. I feel like that is not a super long time, but I did have the benefit of not having to work during that time, and I didn't have kids or anything. So, you know, that helped me be able to get through faster for sure. Voice recording, I think they're talking about, maybe they're actually not talking about voice court reporters. I think they're talking about just voice recording, digital recording, so kind of like the AI stuff versus steno. I always think steno is the best, and there is digital recording out there. Like I've said, they've tried it and it's been a horror story, so they're going to continue to try it, but we're definitely in demand, at least in Texas, a lot, so I don't really see that going anywhere anytime soon, so I wouldn't really worry about that. And I would just start as soon as you can so that you can get out as soon as you can and have the freedom to work as little or as much as you want. This is a good question. Someone asked, as a freelance court reporter, do you do your own production or do you have a firm do it? I guess I'm wondering what you do when you have a mass amount of exhibits that need to be scanned or printed or copied, or if there are any oversized exhibits, what do you normally do? And do you print and bind your own transcripts? So most freelance court reporters, I guess all freelance court reporters, unless you have your own court reporting firm, we do not do any of the production side of it. Now, we are the keeper of the exhibits, so when we're at the deposition or through Zoom, Zoom makes exhibits a little bit easier. But for example, if you're just at an in-person deposition, at the end of the deposition, you will accumulate all the exhibits, and sometimes there could be a lot, sometimes there could be little, and a lot of times there could be no exhibits, which is nice. So you bring those home with you, and most likely you will need to use them to edit your transcript and work on it, and then you ship them off to the court reporting firm who got you that job, and they handle everything with production. So you handle the transcript, whether you want to scope it and proofread it yourself, or you know, source that out to someone else and then they get it back to you, but your name will be at the bottom of that transcript. You're the court reporter who took that. That is your transcript, and then you send that to the court reporting firm. They will send it to the attorney who has hired them to hire a court reporter, if that makes sense. So the court reporting firm is kind of the third party between you and the attorney. The attorney is hiring to have a court reporter there, but they're not particularly contacting you personally unless you have a personal relationship with them and they just really want you to take it. But then I always, like, if someone emails me and they're an attorney saying, hey, can you take this depo? I'll usually tell them if I'm available or not, but then I say, but please reach out to this court reporting firm and they will handle all of the scheduling and the production. And then so they kind of get it scheduled and send me over the scheduling information. So it does make it a lot easier. Sometimes there is a lot of exhibits, but you just mail them out, and a lot of times the court reporting firm will pay for you to mail the exhibits. I never really asked to do that because I don't know, I just feel like it's part of my job, but if it was an astronomical amount, I would get them to reimburse me, and they would. But with Zoom, also everything's electronically, so it's so easy. You can just email everything over. But no, I don't really have to scan anything in. If there is a rush job, the court reporting firm will usually send you a overnight like shipping label, and you can ship them in. Okay, so those are all the questions that I have to answer in today's video. If I did not get to your question, I'm sorry, but please leave it down below again. And yeah, let me know if you have any new questions, any new video ideas. Again, I know I haven't been doing court reporting videos too much, but I hope to continue doing them, you know, once in a while, and they're really fun to do and just chat about it because, again, our job is so interesting and so niche, and yeah, it's cool just talking about it. But I hope you guys learned something and hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.